What's up, guys? All right, so this is a pretty interesting post here. So on Revulsion, I haven't really gotten any feedback for a little while, but it's nice to see that some feedback does come in. Um, this is actually pretty interesting because I have a lot of people have already mentioned multiplayer and Revulsion would be a pretty big deal and all that, and I say, yeah, PvE co-op would be the focus, I think. I promise you simply added Team DM and other popular modes, capture the flag and all that. More players on this. There would be more players on the game. There aren't enough good players, good FPS games. Are there not? I mean, you should add to that. Think about it. You could add endless guns. Like yeah, I could make it like Call of Duty, where like the more you play, like the more guns you unlock and stuff. Um, you could add endless skins and other things. Multiplayer is the future. Yeah, sure, SP games are cool, but there isn't always enough replay ability to keep people interested. Allow competitive players to kill one another. Don't miss out on the opportunity. You have a game now. Just need the game modes and online multiplayer. So I've already thought about doing competitive multiplayer versus PvE in Revulsion 2. Now, keep in mind the current structure of the way the game is designed right now. Like multiplayer just isn't functional at the moment. It would take a lot of restructuring to make it work properly at this point in time. Maybe it's not as bad as I think it is, but it's one of those things where it's like every time I've tried to mess around with it, it ended in like catastrophically where the game wouldn't even run anymore because there'd be some error. Um, but with that said, if a Revulsion 2 were to happen, would I do team deathmatch and things of that nature? The answer is probably not, unfortunately. And here's why. You can't do competitive multiplayer without robust support for dedicated servers. Cheating is a huge problem, and the amount of infrastructure that I would need the game to be profitable for one, which is something I definitely can't guarantee. Um, and for two, you know, that profit would be used to pay for dedicated servers. Dedicated servers would be the only way I can imagine competitive anything existing. You need a referee. You need a trusted third party to make competitive multiplayer games um, actually viable. Now, I've talked about co-op. I can do things like when. All right, so for a while I worked on Warframe, right? And I analyzed how Warframe worked and how it works and everything like that to a decent degree and kind of understood things. Warframe doesn't is just a regular client server, no dedicated servers, and whoever in your group that you're partied with is is the server essentially, and you can cheat in Warframe, and usually you can get away with it because they don't have a way to stop it, but they do things to make the cheating not viable, if you know what I mean. So what one of the things that they do is they make it so that loot is throttled. So even if you're the most amazing player with the best stats ever, flying around through walls and shooting monsters, dealing maximum damage, you're just gonna end up ultimately triggering some red flags, which will probably get your account looked at, and also you'll probably you just won't get any extra loot than a player who plays the game normally, right? So there are ways to deal with team, like cooperative multiplayer in a scenario where you don't need a trusted third party in order to prevent cheating. But when it comes to especially arena shooters, it is a pretty strong stance that I hold um, that if you don't have dedicated servers, then it's just going to flop. It'll never gain any traction from any kind of a hardcore audience. And also, too, a lot of the things that are the strengths of Revulsion are not typically things that are the strengths of what people would want for a truly competitive game. It wouldn't really be a very competitive game. It'd be more like a Battlefield or something like that. When I say that, there's too many factors for you to really um, understand, why you died, what killed you, what decisions you made that were incorrect. It almost adds this sort of element of RNGesus when you have 100 different guns with all these different stats. Now, I've thought about different ways to make that work. Like when you do a one versus one against another player, you can see all of the guns and armor, what their stats are at the start of the match, and guarantee that they're always at the same level, or the it sort of level syncs, or the two players so that they have an even time. Um, all this can be done, but even then, you still kind of run into weird situations where how hard it would be for somebody to truly master uh, that kind of an environment where they know all of those guns, how all of them function at a pro level would be uh, probably impossible. I don't know. So you would end up with a more randomized experience. I mean, in a lot of cases, I think that like if within the arena shooter example, it would probably be something along the lines of Reflex. I mean, Reflex already exists, and as far as I can tell, it's pretty much you know Quake 3 CPMA level quality gameplay, and it would be difficult to do better than that. I think at this point the only way to you would only be able to do side grades at this point in time, or some kind of a system. Allow competitive players to kill one another. I mean, that could probably work in sort of a Dark Souls kind of a way, where people can invade your world, and Dark Souls doesn't give a fuck about cheating. Let's be honest, it's not really. People cheat a lot in Dark Souls, but I guess in that case it's possible. But I mean, a lot of people are just not gonna wanna. Um, I don't know. It would be a weird situation, I think. Um, I guess you'd gain like a bad reputation, maybe, or something. That's probably possible, but truly competitive. Competitive is a really strong word in the world of first-person shooters and stuff like that. So um, there's definitely a difference between allowing somebody to invade your PVE experience and try to murder you for an item that they can get off of your dead body that you can trade in for like stuff. But uh I I guess that's possible. That still requires some kind of infrastructure though in order to be able to find somebody. I guess it could work. I guess something like that could work, but that would still place you pretty firmly in the direction of doing the uh I guess it would still place you pretty firmly in the direction of having to deal with cheating and stuff like that. All right. So, with that said, I mean, Revulsion 2 is, I mean, if it does happen, it will include co-op. I can guarantee that, and it will follow in a lot of the same design principles as Warframe, where sure you can cheat, but like all you're doing is just risking your account. Like you're not gaining anything, and you're risking everything. So go ahead and try and cheat. That kind of a scenario is entirely possible. Um, but and something along the lines of allowing people to invade your game is possible. Uh, but truly competitive, I think it would go against a lot of things at this point in time. At that point, I would suggest Quake Live, or even Quake Live is a tough sell for a lot of people. In fact, the the first person shooter community in terms of like competitive arena shooters is I dare say even, you know, very crab in a bucket kind of people, the slight amount of change would probably send these people recoiling in horror. You mean I can't like set my mouse sensitivity to, you know, a, a 10,000th of a floating point? You know, it's like So with that said, yeah, it's pretty cool. Like other other things I could say right now. I haven't done an announcement with Revulsion. I have been distracted for um I have been distracted for a bit this week and last week as well. Sometimes this happens where I end up kind of needing to just take time and kind of come back to it. It just happens like that. But it doesn't mean I'm not watching. It doesn't mean I'm not paying attention to how things are going with Revulsion. And I do want to do additional content. I'm still, I still have that stuff planned out. You know what I mean? So that's all there. That's all going to be a thing. I just don't know exactly how things are going to go in the future as far as Revulsion 2. I don't know any of the future things right now. Um, yeah, it's difficult to really predict how any of that's going to actually be playing out. So, I am watching the feedback though. So, yeah, if you guys post something now, I like making like a video response and stuff like that. It's actually pretty cool. So take it easy, guys, and I'll keep you posted on any additional things going on. And since I'm gonna try and have a little bit more game development content actually, where I'm actually showing myself working on stuff, would be nice. I'll try and actually go that route a little bit more in the near future as well. So all right, take it easy, guys.